Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
Ooh, this is Fish Jelly.
Welcome to the Theater of Blood.
Oh, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. You were up a little late last night.
Who?
You!
There, work to do, Vanessa.
That's a reference to Vanessa Williams. I believe 1995 single Work to Do. Well, last night we tried a new restaurant in Silver Lake.
By accident.
By accident, because you had intentions to try...
Alimento.
Which were good intentions because it was early. Like, we were going to arrive at this restaurant, an Italian restaurant in Silver Lake at 6 o'clock without reservations.
Which, you know.
The restaurant was empty, but the lady's like, well, we have a bunch of reservations at 7.
So you can sit at the bar where there's no room for your knees.
I hate... First of all, I don't like how a lot of these restaurants, especially in like trendier areas that are already overpriced because of the location, and then the seating is not comfortable to begin with. So, and a good example would be like Bottega Louie.
Oh, yeah.
There's one in downtown LA, there's one in West Hollywood.
Known for their macarons.
The seating is so uncomfortable. These hard-ass, low-ass tables and these like hard wicker chairs, and then the tables are so close together. The same thing with that restaurant you wanted to try last night. The seating was so close together. Just normal dining room seating. And then to sit at a bar where it's like my knees are going to hit the counter. I have to like awkwardly turn like RuPaul on the judges panel to try to talk to you. And then spend $100. Like, I don't know. I don't know how this became a thing that... I can't recall the last time I was in a restaurant where I thought it was exceptionally comfortable. Like, we had a nice cushy booth.
Oh.
Well...
Masa. I always feel comfortable there.
I like Masa, and I think the decor feels very, like, warm and homey.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I think... You're still sitting very close to the people next to you.
If it's busy. Yeah.
I was going to say that one chain restaurant at the Grove that just closed down, Maggiano's. They have... It's very big in there.
Yes.
And they have nice booth seating. But yeah, all these new trendy restaurants, I'm not paying $100 for the two of us to have a quick dinner and I'm like sitting crouched over some bar. No. Or do I sound rigid?
No, I was just having a memory of a waitress like making chicken noises at you.
Oh, we were at some sort of Asian restaurant.
No, it was a ramen restaurant.
Was it ramen?
It was, yes.
Oh, look, you try to hem me up. Yeah, we were at a ramen, and the menu, I couldn't decipher it because it wasn't in English, and I'm asking her, like, what kind of meat is in this soup?
And her English wasn't good, but she just
starts
started
clucking at me. And I'm like, and I didn't recognize.
I did. And then I was like, yeah, he'll be fine with chicken.
Yeah, I guess if someone said, can you make a chicken sound? I don't know what I think a chicken sounds like.
This poor woman is performing.
And I'm looking at her like, are you okay?
Oh, God.
Moving on. So this weekend, 12 years ago, For Colored Girls was released.
Oh,
and I was reminded by Facebook because there's a picture of me in front of the poster. We saw that movie at Block E in downtown Minneapolis. I have fond memories of Block E.
Yes.
Yeah.
We saw that a couple times in the theater, though.
We did see For Colored Girls more than once in the theater. Yeah.
God, 2010. She had 2 movies that year.
What was the other one?
Why Did I Get Married 2 was also 2010.
Oh.
It was like earlier in the year, like April.
So I probably saw that at Block E.
Probably.
For people who don't know, downtown Minneapolis, there's a skyway system because in the winter it's very cold, and to prevent people from having to go outside, most of the buildings are connected by these tunnels that are, above ground. So it's called the skyway, and they're made of, like, they're windows so you can see the city as you walk through. And I remember when I moved to Minneapolis, I was in a relationship, and then I became single. So I was, on my own. And
like Patti LaBelle?
And then ultimately I moved down, like, close to downtown and worked near downtown. So I would spend a lot of time in the Skyway. And I have a lot of fond memories of just like walking the Skyway, going to see movies, eating. The gym I would go to was in the Skyway. A lot of the shopping I did. Of course, there was a Target in the Skyway. So I spent a lot of time, yeah. I remember there was a Hooters, and a friend of mine would meet. He wouldn't go to the gym with me, but he would meet me after I was done with the gym, and we would go eat at Hooters. So I would work out and then go eat a bunch of like chicken tenders and French fries.
As we did when we were dating and going to whatever gym that was, we would always do that too.
I mean, that's kind of the fun part of, clearly I don't go to the gym thinking I'm going to be ripped. It's just, I think I'll speak for myself. I feel very lucky that I have no problem being, exercise is not a problem. Like, I can just do it every day, like, at the same time. I don't need to be motivated. So it's probably just a routine, a habit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't work out because I think I'm going to have a six-pack. So I'm very happy to eat crap food after I work out. But anyway, so did you see on TikTok, this was like, a week and a half ago, how Madonna did that video implying she's gay?
Oh, yes.
And then a couple of the podcasts I listened to, people were like very angry, thinking that she's like, people have very strong feelings about it. I
don't have strong feelings about it other than like if she's exploring her sexuality. I think she's always left that door open or insinuated that she has.
I'm confused why people are like want to think something, because I mean, I remember her from when I was a kid, so it's been 30 plus years of me witnessing the marketing of Madonna. So her being sort of like, causing a stir with her sexuality seems very normal.
I just feel like, that's such a... she still does like men, I'm assuming, so I don't know that she could say she's gay, but I think the whole production and performance of how she does things now is so ridiculous that it's just... I can just roll my eyes.
Yeah, I think it's more sort of like, this is a mature ass lady out here playing these little games. It's like, I guess I wish she would have become more like, what would be really interesting is if Madonna became very refined and like chic, but then spoke very openly and very like, that would make people's jaws drop.
Or she doesn't even have to be that refined. You could be like Sandra Bernhard, who I think is also...
I don't think she's as smart as Sandra Bernhard.
She's not, but
yes,
but how she speaks and how she's just like, I don't give a fuck, and this is what I'm doing with my life, and
that's kind of what I'm saying too. Yeah. But I just wish that she wouldn't run around wearing like these designer clothes that are very like, I don't know. She's altered her body in a way, and she can do whatever she wants, but it...
Of course, but...
Considering how she's sort of tried to play this role of like, she's... Like, I don't know. I get the sense that Madonna wants to be like Sharon Stone. Like, she wishes she could be as smart as Sharon Stone or something. Yeah. I don't know. That's the impression I got from her for decades, is like, she really wants to be... Like, it's okay that you're just this really fun performer who's very open, and you don't have to be a genius, and you don't have to have something provocative or enlightening to say every time you open your mouth. You can just be yourself.
You can just be yourself. Maybe be more like Beyonce and only choose to speak at certain times.
But the reason I'm bringing Madonna up is because TMZ caught Cassandra Peterson, Elvira, like out in the streets, and they asked her about Madonna because, of course, Elvira came out as a lesbian a couple of years ago, I believe, in her memoirs.
Yes.
But Elvira was like, oh yeah, I'm not surprised because many years ago, she hit on my now partner. They were dating at the time. So Cassandra and her partner, Teresa, have been together for like 20 years. So they were together when Madonna approached Teresa saying that she wanted to hire her for like to be her personal trainer. I guess that's what that lady did back then. It may still do that. And that Madonna implied that she wanted more of the personal part of...
Oh, okay.
That's how Cassandra worded it. So she was just saying, like, I've been known that Madonna is like...
Well, what about, was it the VMAs where she made out with Britney and Christina back in, what year was that, 2002, 2003?
I don't think it's that interesting. It's certainly not enough for people to be mad. In fact, it feels kind of dated for Madonna with all the things she's done, as provocative as she's been. It's like, if that 60-year-old lady wants to throw some panties in the trash can to say she's gay...
It's so weird.
When I first saw it, I just thought, oh, this is just her showing support for the LGBTQIA2S plus community. I didn't think it was like her queer baiting or...
I don't think she's queer baiting.
I just thought like she's just She's always kind of been very gay friendly.
I think she just always she likes shock value. But this isn't shocking.
I don't think it's that shock. Like
it's not.
Yeah.
But that's always been her MO. That was her bread and butter, right? In the early '90s, that's how.
Yeah.
She became solidified in the zeitgeist.
Moving on, I saw that the New York Post was talking about this survey that was conducted about the world's sexiest bald man.
Oh yeah.
And so like this search engine, this SEO company did like they collected data specifically based on online searches, like the golden ratio, like that idea that like your face length has to be like 1 point something times greater than your face width, and the distance between your eye, blah blah blah. That combined with Twitter analysis of like connected to the individuals, and then the person's net worth and height.
Net worth.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I know. But they came up with a study.
This is for gold diggers?
Yeah, so it's basically like the hottest, the sexiest bald man for gold diggers. But I'm going to read you the top 10 list. So can you guess who might be on the list before I read the top 10?
Bruce Willis.
Okay. Can you think of any other baldies?
Ed Harris.
Okay.
Vin Diesel.
Okay.
Does Dwayne Johnson count?
Okay, sure. Let's go through. Let's see if you're on the right track.
Okay.
Number 10, Mike Tyson.
He's only number 10?
Oh, you'd put him higher?
Yeah.
Oh. Number 9, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh, he should be higher.
Number 8.
I'm surprised he's not number 1.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. He
has a very popular podcast, but he used to be the host of Fear Factor.
Oh, yeah, no, not for me, but okay.
Number 7, Bruce Willis.
Okay.
Who did you see that he's like the first celebrity to sell his image to like a deep fake company?
Yeah, does he know what he signed?
Does he know what he did? I don't know if he needs money like that.
Did that aphasia kick in? Where's Demi? Where's the children he has?
Where's that potato-faced daughter of his?
Rumor, help your daddy.
Number 6, Jason Statham.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, number 5 is throwing me off. Prince William.
Does he completely shave his head?
I don't know, but he looks like...
He's looking like his daddy, which is not good.
He looks like he's been drinking water.
That's the older brother, right?
Yeah.
He's the one William's
Henry is the more attractive. He's the more redhead one.
Married to Meghan Markle.
Married to Meghan. No, Prince William's the one who's... Yeah.
Yeah, no, not
Kate.
Not for
Number
me.
4, Pitbull. The entertainer, not the dog. Number 3, Shamar Moore.
Oh, yes. Okay. Is Boris on there?
No.
Boris Kojo's not on this list?
He must be broke.
Throw it out the door. Yeah. Throw this list away. I don't fucking want it.
Boris Kojo's not out here. Yeah. Number 2, Stanley Tucci.
Stanley's handsome, yes.
Number 1, Vin Diesel. How did Vin Diesel...
Am I in the upside down?
Well, because how did Vin Diesel beat The Rock? Because The Rock has more money than Vin Diesel. And The Rock is taller than Vin Diesel. And I would argue The Rock is more handsome than Vin Diesel.
Does personality not matter at all?
And then if you count personality, I don't know. Oh, someone to barely miss the top 10 was Floyd Mayweather.
Oh, well,
he's super rich.
I prefer Mike.
But he's short. So I don't... Yeah, I mean, I guess... And then, of course, Mr. Clean's not on here, so I don't know how this makes sense. But anyway.
Well, we didn't count cartoons.
Okay, so there was a question asking, because we got this question more than once because people are under the impression we have a very clean house. So they were asking about how do we keep the house clean with the cat, specifically like the cat litter, I guess.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So first of all, the cat is hairless, so there's no hair anywhere.
Right.
And she's our 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's why her middle name is 6, yes.
Sphinx cat. And I would say she's probably the least, like, oily.
Yeah.
Because I feel like before, like, our bed sheets are... Mm-hmm. To be clear, though, Aggie doesn't really... Our cat doesn't ever really sleep in our bed. The other ones would.
Yeah. Well, we live with enough space where we can kind of tether her to certain parts of the house.
Yeah, in our current house, because she has to go up and down 4 stories, I feel like she kind of keeps to like 2.
Well, we used to live in a loft where it's just like there was no option but to let the cats do what they want.
Yeah, in one situation, when we were in the loft, we couldn't lock them up anywhere, so they were everywhere. But she stays. The cat sleeps. There's a bathroom off of the kitchen, and that's where we put her at night. And then during the day, she's usually in the guest room.
She likes the guest room, yeah.
The only time she's in our bedroom, which is on the top floor, is in the morning. She'll wake us up.
Yep.
But she doesn't really ever sleep up there. She likes to be up there because our bedroom is the only room where the sun shines in. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of sunshine, and she likes to like luxuriate in the sun. So she'll do some sunbathing like late afternoon.
Yeah, 4 or 5, yeah.
But just in general, she seems cleaner. She also is the one cat we've had of all the hairless cats who it seems like it's obvious when she needs a bath, which is every few weeks.
Yeah, probably every 3 weeks.
Because she'll start to smell kind of whatever, but she probably is the least smelly of them.
Because before, it'd be like once a week.
Yeah, they were like, they need a bath bad. But as far as litter, we use the Tidy Cats brand. They have something called Breeze, which is a system. So you have to buy the container, and then there are these pellets, these like little anhydrous pellets. Meaning that they are like these little rocks, pellets, that are too big to get stuck onto her paws. Because, normal litter sucks because it's so tiny that when they get out of the litter box, it's just everywhere.
Scatters everywhere, yeah.
These pellets are big. I mean, they're as big as one of her little bean pads on her paw. So they never stick to her. The only time they come out of the litter box is sometimes when she's really flinging the litter. Yeah. It'll fly out. Yeah. But even at her worst, it maybe like 3 or 4 will fly out.
And they're easy to clean up.
And they're easy. You can easily pick them up. But the rocks are anhydrous, so when she pees, the pellets don't absorb the urine. They go straight through like a grate, and then there's like a pad at the bottom. And how often do you change the pad?
Probably every 2 weeks.
Oh, every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
They last that long?
Don't buy generic pads. Those last.
Oh, we learned the hard way. Yeah, we bought. Well, not because we were being cheap, but because there was a shortage during the pandemic. Out. Yeah, due to supply chain issues, we had to buy generic pee pads, and those things. After a couple of days, she would, because our cat, if she doesn't like the litter, she will take a shit outside her box. Yeah. With the quickness.
She's like, I'm not going in there.
It doesn't take much for her to get funky about her litter box. So we use the Tidy Cats Breeze system. And then in our office, there's a bathroom inside, and that's where her litter box stays. So that's why our house doesn't smell like a cat, because she's pretty clean. Her litter is like away from the living area. And then the Breeze system, I think, does a really good job of mitigating. The only downside is when she poops, the pellets are big. So they cover the poop. But not so much that
it's not completely
the
covered.
Poop stinks until it is dry. So when she takes a shit, it smells for like 30, 45. It's like John Witherspoon and Friday. Like, don't come in here for a good 25, 35, 45 minutes. But yeah, so I would highly recommend it. Also, I think you probably spend less money on the Breeze system than you did back when we had to buy litter.
Yeah.
Because we were scooping out litter constantly.
Well, yeah, because the whole stuff, it gets like all of it the batch gets contaminated, so.
Yeah, and then every time she uses it, I mean, you're scooping out a ton of product. Moving on, Sorry to This Man section, you have Keke Palmer and Bill Murray on here?
Yeah, if you remember that Aziz Ansari film that stopped shooting because of an incident with Bill Murray, and then it was, there were all these news stories that said it was because he pulled Keke Palmer's hair, which is not true. She never responded about any of that. She never confirmed it. And since, I think, sometime over the past week, it was revealed that it was, I don't know if it was a PA, somebody else on set that he physically, he thought he was joking, but I don't know if he was grabbing her or straddled her or something. But it wasn't Keke Palmer.
Okay, so clarifying that.
But that all came out. I think I happened to read more about that because Gina Davis is publishing her memoirs, and she details a really awkward experience with Bill Murray on the set of Quick Change.
Wait, who's the actor?
Gina Davis.
Gina Davis.
And it kind of bummed me out having to read about that because Quick Change was that was a 1990 movie that I have fond memories of that I think is quite funny. And I remember always thinking, like, why wasn't Sigourney the lead in it? Because those two got along so well, and they had just done Ghostbusters 2. But maybe because she was pregnant.
I was just because you said the word actor to describe. Who did you just say wrote the memoir? Gina Davis. You just used the word actor to describe Gina Davis. I received several comments, people upset that I referred to the trans female actor in Hellraiser as an actor, like as if I was misgendering this person. And that is, I would not deliberately do that. I call male or female actors actors.
I think actors, we're heading into an era where no matter what anybody identifies, actor is the standard, because it's not, actress, I think, like even in the awards, the critics groups I'm a part of, we're moving away from actor and actress binary categories. And to performer,
Well, I just wanted to be clear that I wouldn't deliberately like misgender this person. I refer to all actors, male, female, non-binary, as actor. However, if this person prefers to be called actress, then of course I would call her an actress. But I just wanted to say that. The other sorry to this man is we.
Oh, I didn't finish talking about Gina Davis.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, go on.
So she detailed that she had a meeting with Bill Murray in his hotel room, I believe, before filming started, and he insisted on using this massager on her.
Oh, I think I read about this.
Yeah, and then he embarrassed her on the first day of set, like screaming at her in front of everybody, and nobody said anything. And I think a line she wrote, and I'm paraphrasing, something about with profound sadness, she realized she wasn't kind of powerful enough to, stick up for herself. And it's like, this is a beautiful, incredibly smart person, and she had just won an Oscar, and still she felt.
Yeah, but that's the sad part, because I believe that. I mean, it makes sense to me that she would feel like if she said, like, I'm sure she was going through the range of feelings of like, if I say something, I'm going to be labeled as difficult. It's going to ruin my career. Who knows? This man who I'm going to defend myself against. Who knows who he has under his thumb? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it makes sense that even this beautiful, successful actor is afraid.
I know, but it's just that, because look at how they treated Kim Basinger in the tabloids in the early 90s as being labeled difficult, and she was just trying to advocate for herself for better roles.
Yeah, but look at how female entertainers, like how easily they were labeled as difficult.
Oh, Judy Garland. I mean, it goes back to...
And they were probably just advocating for very basic things.
Yeah,
like, don't fucking touch me, run me my money on time,
don't
keep me waiting.
I don't want to fuck you for this role, thank you.
Things that nowadays we would, hopefully consider to be like appropriate to speak up against. But it's like, it's so... If we were to take inventory from decades past and see how poorly...
it's funny because you see all these men, all these male actors talking, like, kind of making snarky comments about intimacy coaches, like, which is, in the wake of Me Too. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you are acting, you're not really being intimate with this person. It's a job.
Just like my job, like, I expect there to be a certain behavior and certain standards. That's kind of wild.
And it's a very tricky subject. You're imitating, one of the most intimate acts between humans, whether or not it's, Anyway.
Well, I was going to say, working in Las Vegas and, being in the casinos, and this was, 20 years ago, but it's precarious because being on the casino floor, there are cocktail servers who are all scantily clad, and then the business of sex is sold in a casino. We have very sexy shows. Most of the resident shows in a casino, they have two performances, like the before dinner and the after dinner, and the after dinner usually is topless. So I think a lot of times the men who would work in these places felt like the environment allows them to be inappropriate. And so to me, it feels like people are probably like that on set too. Like, well, this isn't a normal job, so I don't have to behave.
Right.
No,
normally,
that's not true.
Yes.
Like, just because I'm dressed with my legs showing and my cleavage out, that doesn't mean you can comment on me, touch me, whistle. Like, do your damn job. Bust these tables, run me these drinks. Like, and it's the same thing. Like, just because we're simulating a sex scene, I need to feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. I need to feel safe. I think some people just... I also think it's really creepy and Patrice O'Neal, who I always reference, remember he has that bit about, like, we think that like the TSA workers and that these people aren't creepy, but it's like some people take jobs because they have access to things.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. You know, there are some TSA people who love their job because they get to pat people down. Mm-hmm. Or you know, there are fucking nurses who love doing certain things because they get to...
Or, gynecologists has always been one of the jokes, right?
Right, right. So it's like, people are creepy. And I've had services done where it's like, the person's being really weird with me. And it's like, I didn't come here for this. I came here to get this thing done. And you're... So, yeah. That's wild.
I don't know. But anyway, so, kudos to Lucy Liu for speaking up way back when, before that was even popular on the set of Charlie's Angels. But,
moving on, films released we didn't cover, Decision to Leave.
yes, which, probably should have been something we did because to me, that's a major new release from Park Chan-wook, being released by Mubi. I saw it at Cannes, and I liked it overall. I think it's a little long, but I think you would have enjoyed it. But that did come out.
Next, The Loneliest Boy in the World.
The Loneliest Boy in the World. That is directed by somebody named, I'm forgetting his name now. Martin.
Person.
Huh?
A person.
A person. Oh, Martin Owen. No. Yeah, Martin Owen.
A cat directed it.
And it stars Hero Fiennes Tiffin, who is he the nephew or son of Ray Fiennes? Anyway, we saw him as one of the Portuguese slave traders in The Woman King recently.
Oh, that's him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So those two we didn't get to.
All right. Movies you watch for fun. Something called The Kiss.
Yeah, someone recommended this on something.
I don't know. Maybe a live video we did.
No, you did a premiere video and you were chatting with somebody, I think, and I think it was in regards to a question came up in a review about, like, are there ever, like, sexy... Because it was in Don't Look at the Demon, where I think you questioned, like...
Oh, I went on a rant about, are there any, like, possession films that are actually, like, erotic?
Yes. And somebody had recommended The Kiss, which isn't really a possession film, but I think vampire films, and this is kind of... The Kiss is kind of a bizarre, weird vampire, or even maybe werewolf movie that I really liked, and I watched a terrible... And this actually relates to the Bill Murray conversation, because it's out of print on DVD, and I found a version on YouTube that was part of Joe Bob Briggs's program. And the actors in the film, Joanna Pekula and Meredith Salinger. Pekula is a very interesting, she's from Poland, and the film Anna is based on her experiences moving to New York and kind of being the mentee of this very notable Polish actor that had lived here years prior. Anyway, she's the star. And Joe Bob Briggs, I don't know if you remember his show. It was kind of like not like Tales from the Crypt, but he would introduce these movies and give like body counts and like kill ratios and etc. And then there was some sexy woman, or presented to us as sexy, that read the mail that came to Joe Bob Briggs, whatever. And he was kind of this southern fried gentleman. The way he was talking about Joanna Pekula and how he wanted, like, basically insinuating all these things about, sleeping with her and Meredith Salinger, it's because this probably aired in the late 90s, early 2000s, is so uncomfortable. Anyway, I would love to see this film on a better print, but I had a lot of fun with it. And it's bizarre. There's weird incest issues. Yeah.
Something called I Came By.
Yes, this came out August 31st on Netflix. It's the third film directed by Babak Anvari, who I believe is from Iran, but has made 3 films now outside of his native country. The first being Under the Shadow, which I saw at Sundance in 2016 and really liked. I recently caught up with Wounds. We talked about it on our podcast with Armie Hammer, which I also really liked, but is now, the legacy of that film is doomed because of you-know-who. In his third film, I Came By, where you were in the room when I think was watching some of this. It's about those 2 young guys in London who are taggers, or however you call them, and they have made a habit of breaking into rich people's homes and spraying graffiti on their walls saying, I came by. And one of them happens to go into the home of this ex-judge.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yes.
Played by
Because
Hugh.
that was kind of riveting what I
Yeah.
did see.
Played by Hugh Bonneville, and he is gay like Dahmer and is locking men up in the basement, and he kills this guy and grinds him up to dust. And the guy's mother, played by Kelly MacDonald, who's an actress that I always find very watchable. Now I feel like actor. She goes on a search for her son and ends up being murdered as well. Anyway, that is a really interesting film currently on Netflix.
Sorry, I had to step away because the cat was harassing us. Next, you decided after we watched... Did we watch...
We watched Terrifier 2 first.
We watched Terrifier 2 first in the theater. We had to pay for that. And then,
Yeah.
which I don't mind. But after... I think as soon as we came home, I put on Terrifier. Mm-hmm. So what did you think?
Again, much like I said in the Terrifier 2 review, I think that is an interesting lead character that deserves a better origin story, or what the hell is going on here, and to orient us in a way that, you know, watching people be viciously slaughtered, it's like, okay, I can watch that, but, you know, it'd be a lot more effective if we were actually led to care about them to any degree. But the one scene that really stands out is when he, you know, has that woman like hanging upside down in chains and then, you know, cuts her in half, which is really gross. But I don't know. Like I've said before, I'm not really into torture porn or gratuitous anything. I think it's like a good horror. Some of the best horror films, you don't actually see the creature, right? Because it's playing. What's much more horrific is what your mind does to you, and I think there's something to be said for that. And also, I find it, you know, it's like the Midnight Madness crowd at the Toronto Film Festival. It's just people want to scream and shout and let it all out, and kind of it's an arena to where they can give voice to strange behaviors. Like even the people sitting next to us at Terrifier 2 is this all the...
Yeah, we had to sit because we had to pay, and then I arrogantly didn't think that this movie would be sold out, so we just showed up at the theater, and it was sold out, so we had to sit in the front row, right in front of this big-ass screen, and the crowd was very interesting. It was very, like, how would you describe it? It looked like all the kids when I was in high school who shopped at like Hot Topic, but now they're like my age, like so in their 40s
with back problems and help.
A lot of ladies with like very blonde, thin hair, and then
a gentleman with a dog on his lap.
Oh my God! Then so on your side there were these two guys, one who brought a dog with him, and then on my side,
that dog wanted to leave so many times.
That poor dog, like sitting there with all this loud noise, and the person next to me, you know how people drink a lot and they just smell like the alcohol is like they're just aspirating it's permeating,
fermented.
They smell fermented, and he was very animated. Like every creepy thing, he would jump and scream. The combination of him doing all the excessive squirming and then smelling like the floor of a bar was really off-putting.
And then the men next to me, like somebody gets their penis stabbed off, basically, and they're like, "Yeah, cut it off."
They were like Beavis and Butthead.
Could put it in her mouth, like, "Oh my God, shut up."
But I'm not being judgy. I do like, you know, I probably am less. Torture porn can be interesting, but for me, it's a lot like I like the technical aspect of it, like how did they achieve this to make it look realistic, but. Like I've said before, it needs to have the connective tissue needs to like give me a story.
Yeah,
otherwise I just feel like, what did I just watch?
There has to be something there that I'm interested in. What is this saying about something? Anything.
And Terrifier 2 don't say much.
But yeah, that's a very creepy clown mime.
Yeah. Lastly, you watched something called Mikey.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's Halloween and I've been forced to watch all this other a lot of other film stuff going on this month. And I put Mikey on, which is about a killer kid, because those are always fun, right? This movie's terrible and really deserves a Mystery Science Theater type treatment. But it's directed by somebody named Dennis Dimster. It's clearly, you know, Bad Seed, Good Son ripoff, although I think it came out the year before The Good Son. But it stars this kid named Brian Bonsall, who I think, did you watch Family Ties?
Yeah.
He was the younger brother of Michael J. Fox in Family Ties.
Oh.
So he's this little kid, and I know him from a film called Blank Check. That the year that came out, a young girl named Jenny, her mother called the house and said Jenny wants to ask Nick out on a date, and my parents let me go as like a third grader to this movie with this girl named Jenny. Anyway, it's that kid, but
Brian Bonsall.
yeah, but it makes no goddamn sense because it's much like the film The Stepfather, where apparently this orphan child runs around and like kills whatever foster family adopts him. So it opens with him like slaughtering this family, which makes no goddamn sense. And then he's adopted again, in what's the film calls a closed adoption. Like, the new family would need to know that, because the kid's not suspected because he's a 9-year-old, but it's like the new family would need to know what happened to a child to that degree in America in 1992.
What is the movie called?
Mikey.
Mikey, that's right.
But it's not good, and that creepy kid, the kid gives a creepy little performance. Also, Wes Craven's wife stars in it. Yeah, I'm forgetting her name, but apparently she's good friends with Sharon Stone.
Okay, so projects of interest. Something with Isabelle Huppert.
Isabelle Huppert, Dario Argento, because his new film Dark Glasses was released this week, which is not good. But he said that he is remaking a Mexican film from the 1940s, a genre movie, which hasn't revealed which one, that's going to star Isabelle Huppert and going to Lens in spring 2023. So that, no matter if it's not good, should be interesting because she doesn't really do horror. She's done horrific things in her films, but she doesn't really do genre.
Greta.
Yeah, Greta counts, and everybody calls that a camp fest, and I do enjoy her in that.
The Gorge.
Scott Derrickson, who I know you like Sinister. I'm not.
Yep.
I like 3/4 of the film Sinister.
Did he do Black Phone?
He did the Black Phone.
I didn't like the Black Phone.
Black Phone I thought was caca, except for creepy Ethan Hawke. And he did the first Doctor Strange. He is doing a new film called The Gorge, which Anya Taylor-Joy and Miles Teller are signed on to.
Oh, Elevation.
George Nolfi, who directed The Banker, which I still haven't seen, with Sammy Jackson and Anthony Mackie. He's reuniting with Anthony Mackie for this new sci-fi thriller that's also going to star Morena Baccarin, who you know as Deadpool's girlfriend, and was also just in The Good House with Sigourney.
The Naked Gun.
Akiva Schaffer, who directed The Watch and Never Stop Trying, whatever that weird pop star movie was with Andy Samberg a few years ago. He's remaking The Naked Gun with Liam Neeson.
Barbarella.
No director attached yet, but for decades, some people have been trying to remake Barbarella. I remember when I was in junior high, like 97, 98, I remember Drew Barrymore was going to be in a remake, I think, which probably, thank God, that never happened. But now Sydney Sweeney apparently is attached to a remake.
Mother Couch.
I don't know the director, Nicholas Larson, but Taylor Russell, who I liked in Waves and is quite good in Bones and All, has just signed on to a film called Mother Couch that interestingly also stars Ellen Burstyn, a perennial favorite of mine, and Ewan McGregor.
Oh, I like him. Something that I probably can't pronounce, Les Indesirables.
Les Indesirables is probably more... It's Ladj Lee's new film, who directed Les Miserables, which is not an adaptation of the Hugo novel. It's about, relations between policemen and the people of color living in various projects in France that came out a couple of years ago. He's directing a new film called Les Indesirables.
Something called Tao.
Alain Gomez, who his last film was Félicité, which I think was in Berlin in 2017. He's got a new project called Tao. And then Alain Guiraudie, a favorite of mine, who directed Stranger by the Lake, which I know you liked, has a new project he's collecting funds for called Miséricorde.
Miséricorde?
Yeah, I'm sure there will be a... He was just in Berlin with in the Panorama section called Nobody's Hero this year.
All right. Unfortunately, there are entries in the obituary section. Angela Lansbury.
Yeah, Angela finally got taken down by... life.
Yeah. I don't probably everything I know about Angela Lansbury is from RuPaul being such a big Murder She Sat Down and She Wrote fan. Mm-hmm. But and I remember that show as a kid, but I've never seen it.
Really? Okay.
Then I know that she's in the original
Manchurian Candidate.
No, yes, but the one with Isabelle Huppert that was remade, where she's like the old maid goes to Paris.
Oh, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Yes, Angela. That was a TV film. Yes.
But that's all I know about her.
Wow. Okay.
And then she made some comment, like some anti-gay comments back in the day.
Well, she was in Gaslight, which you've seen with Ingrid
Oh,
Bergman.
okay.
As a young woman, and no, the what you're referencing is she was offered. Robert Aldrich, who directed Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, offered her this Susanna York role in The Killing of Sister George, which is a lesbian film, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen. I think Kino Lorber has it on Blu-ray. That might have to be a secret film sometime. It's fascinating, and I think it got an X rating at the time because it shows. It's one of the first times you see like lesbian underground bars in London, and this is like 1968, I think. But Angela Lansbury was offered that role, and she made a lot of very public comments about how offended she was at even being offered such trash, which I think I carried, and I think I learned about that through Vito Russo's Celluloid Closet. And I think she apologized or tried to atone for her homophobia. But there were a lot of them did that. Sylvester Stallone did that in the early 80s, saying like, we don't play fags. And it's like, I don't know. Like, to me, there's something about doing the right thing at the time when it's most important to do the right thing, which I don't think Angela Lansbury did, but sure, she made her peace,
Wow.
and a lot of homosexuals seem to really like her. But let's not forget.
We need to move on. Robbie Coltrane is dead.
Robbie Coltrane, who played Hagrid in the Harry Potter films, of which you've only seen one.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
But my mother used to watch his television series Cracker, where he plays a detective.
He plays a cracker.
No, well, he is a cracker.
A saltine. Lastly, Austin Stoker.
Austin Stoker, who was in several blaxploitation films, notably Sheba Baby with Pam Grier.
Okay.
But he's probably best known for John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13. He died this week too.
Oh, I need to look him up.
I'm sure you might recognize him.
I don't straight away, but I'll need to do further research.
The original Assault on Precinct 13 is great. The remake's crap, but
Okay, this week the secret film was your selection.
Mm-hmm.
You chose the 1965 British psychological horror film Repulsion, directed by Roman Polanski.
his sophomore film.
Sexual offender.
He is again. Okay, let's get this out of the way.
No, we can't because we only have like 17
No,
minutes.
I mean, I'm not going to condone statutory rape, but he is, I think, one of the greatest film directors that has ever been, and I really like a lot of his films. So
I wouldn't go on strike against this person because there are a lot of people who've done bad things who are still out here working. I mean, the person who made my Chipotle burrito may have attacked someone.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. So, all I can do is just, I guess, consume what I don't know. That's a bigger conversation. I haven't thought about it, except that I think, yeah, I wouldn't be in protest against Roman Polanski. Because then that also means so then all these Weinstein movies, do I need to not watch anything that this person
that person never touched, or
because it's like you're also taking away from the other artists who worked on it and all the crew, like everyone who worked hard on this project, because the one person who sort of led it is, vile. I don't know.
Well, if it helps your conscience, this was before he did all that.
No, it doesn't. But okay, so why did you choose this movie?
It's a favorite of mine. I haven't watched it in years, and I think that besides The Hunger, I don't think I've ever really shown you Catherine Deneuve, who is an absolute favorite of mine, and she lords over us in the kitchen in a lovely Belle de Jour poster.
I couldn't have told you that's who that was. I couldn't even have told you that poster's in the kitchen, and I'm literally staring at it right now.
Well, she's looking at you right
I know there's a poster above the beverage refrigerator, but I guess I never realized who that was. I don't know who it is in the Mom Air portrait.
That's Isabelle Huppert.
I couldn't have told you that either. Wow.
Well, it is. Okay.
Okay, Repulsion. The story is very simple. Catherine Deneuve plays a woman named Carol. It's set in the 60s. What country are they in?
They're in London.
They're in the UK?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's notable. They reveal that she's Francophile from Belgium. Her and her sister.
Okay, so anyway, Carol lives in London. She works as a manicurist in this huge spa. And we see right away that she is sort of despondent, flat, awkward. she lives with her sister, and her sister's dating this guy, and it's clear that Carol doesn't like the fact that this guy comes to the house. And the film is shot in a very deliberate way. It's very slow and quiet, which we can talk about the sound editing.
The sound design is
but
very important.
we see her devolve very slowly up to a point, and then it just goes it's very rapid. So initially we see her like working on a manicure, and then her coworker is like, "Girl, did you just fall asleep? Like, what are you doing?" And we see her zoning out, like looking into space. We see that there's this man who's very fond of her and invites her on a date, and she's awkward, and then she misses a date because she's just like sitting in a park bench staring at the ground.
Staring at cracks in the ground, yeah.
And then she ends up missing work for a few days, comes back, and then has an incident where she cuts a customer's finger. So she sort of like locks herself in the house for a while. And then the guy who likes her shows up, and it's because he's checking on her, he's worried, and she won't let him in, so he breaks down the door. And Carol kills him, throws his ass in the
bathtub.
But it's important to know that her sister has left for like a few weeks to go on a trip to, I believe, Paris with her boyfriend. So Carol's at home alone.
Her married boyfriend, yeah.
Yeah. Carol's at home alone. And so she's locked herself in there. There's food rotting, flies flying around. Now there's this dead man in the tub. But an important plot point is they're behind on their rent. So the landlord's supposed to come and pick up cash, and he does. And she supplies the rent, but then, of course, the landlord's a creep and sort of makes a move on her, and she ends up killing him.
Slices him.
And we can talk about what we think this movie is, but her sister ends up returning home, and there's a big commotion because, of course, we see a dead body, and we only see the one. They haven't even discovered the second dead body, which she hides under a couch. And that's the end. So, of course, we assume that this woman is either going to an insane asylum or to prison.
And notably, it starts with a zoom out of Deneuve's eye and then a zoom in on a portrait of her as a young child.
So, obviously this is a portrait of a woman suffering from severe mental health issues. I think, for this character, it seems like a lot of it circles...
This is, I watched this as a teenager when I first started becoming fascinated by Deneuve. And that's the first time I remember having conversations with my mother, at least, about frigidity, and sexual frigidity, and, as something only a woman can experience, and how this film was kind of turning on that.
I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but I'd be interested to know what mental health professionals think about this portrayal, because to me it seems like the person who wrote it,
I feel like they
sort of linking like her trauma as a young girl related to maybe like sexual assault to why she has this aversion to men. But then also the symptoms she's exemplifying seem more like she's schizophrenic, which is like not like it's not environmental, like that's genetic and
it's certainly attachment issues with the family
and biological.
She's overly attached to her sister, who she's begging not to leave, and then that's when literally there are all these cracks she sees in the facade inside the apartment become gaping holes, right?
Sure, but I was saying that to say that I still think that it seems like a very mannered way to tell this story, because I feel like if this movie were remade by today's remake standards, they would just make her seem like a lunatic. And I think the Polanski film, Carol does seem like a woman who is deeply affected and sick. And I don't know, I don't want to use the word like respectful, but it definitely feels like it's not sensationalizing this woman's issue to make like a horror film. It's really more sort of like a psychological...
Yeah, and I think the Deneuve performance
story
is very good.
That is horrific.
Yes. But yeah, they're giving her a lot of symptoms, like with food, for instance. Like there's that scene with the fish and chips where she's not really eating. And then, of course, this rotting rabbit carcass that's...
Yeah, and then we see her, like, get ready for work one day, and she, like... I like the look of the film, and their kitchen, there's, like, a setup where they've had coffee and toast, and there's, like, a cup of coffee that clearly is not hot, and she drops like 8 sugar cubes in there and barely mixes it. And sugar cubes don't melt if the liquid's not hot. And then she just drinks it and she's ready to go. And then later on, we see her, she just eats the sugar cube.
Yeah.
So that's,
And bisque crackers, she's like,
To me, that seems very much like she is just trying to get from one moment to the next. Like she knows she needs like calories to get her
Yeah.
going. I found her character very frustrating, but I was sympathetic towards her, but it was just frustrating thinking that my overall thought was, the 1960s, our understanding of mental health issues was more limited than it is today. And there's less awareness, so people are less sensitive. And like her coworker, her boss, who are trying to be,
her boss is actually quite nice.
is quite nice to her, but
Yeah.
they would have had no way to articulate what might be happening to her, and certainly there were probably no resources, to deal with this. So I just felt very sad for her. Like,
Well, if you feel sad for her, and whatever kind of trauma probably maybe happened to her.
I got the sense that her dad might have abused her, because we look at this photo of her more than once as a child with her family, and you see that she's like kind of standing behind the person who would be her dad, I guess, and she's looking like away from him.
She looks disturbed.
She looks disturbed. So I assumed, and then because of course she seems repulsed. I mean, it's called Repulsion.
Yeah.
She seems repulsed by men, and like men touching her, and so I'm assuming that we're supposed to put those two things together.
And it's about men invading her space, right? Because
Yeah.
she's upset that this married lover who is very forward and forthcoming is like using her toothbrush cup, and this is the first film notably where the British censors allowed the sound of a woman's orgasm, because that's one of the first things is notable in the sound design is her sister
having sex in the room next to her, and Carol can hear her sister.
But in both the men she kills, they've invaded her space.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to talk about in this film. I didn't take any notes. One, because I was super tired, but also the film, the way it's shot and the flow of it,
it's very slow to a point.
It's very slow,
and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, we're killing people now. Okay,
I did think it was excellent, but
So Deneuve, I think, is just such a beautiful woman, and I find her so transfixing to look at.
I think she was very well cast for the role, because she is beautiful. So she checks all the boxes of being desirable, but also she has sort of like a sad face. But she's not dead behind the eyes, but she clearly is like, her mind is not there. And I used to, like I've said a million times, I used to work in a psychiatric ward, and not that I know what I'm talking about, except that I'm very familiar with being with people who are like not present. And I thought she did a good job of mimicking that.
She was always criticized, and still is, for being an icy cold blonde, glacial blonde, and playing with the tropes of the Hitchcock blonde, which she was supposed to be in a Hitchcock film before he died. This is considered one of this, and I think Belle de Jour with Buñuel's, considered the only. Lots of people say they're the only ones where you really kind of get beyond her exterior, but I don't think you do in this, because you barely know Carol. But I think her performance is great.
Do you want to talk more about this film?
Sure.
Okay, so we need to pause 1 second. I can only go so long without a break. But anyway, continue.
I really like that jangly jazz score from Chico Hamilton, and also the sound is that it's about all these noises kind of encroaching on her comfort.
The last live video we did. We forgot one of the Sorry to This Man things now that I'm talking about it. The last live video we did, one of the questions someone asked was about seeing in a movie in a theater versus whatever. And I think, like, now that I've seen Repulsion, I would definitely, I would see it in a theater if it were playing at like the New Beverly or something.
Which is probably the only place, yeah.
Because I think the sound editing is really interesting.
Which is interesting too, because I think the sound editing is so important. Another really excellent film about a woman losing her mind, in Robert Altman's Images with Susanna York.
I've seen that, right?
I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the one. What's the movie where the windows?
Oh, with what's her name from Rocky?
Yes. Where someone's staring at her through the window, obviously.
Oh no, that's a lesbian horror film, which is really great. Elizabeth Allen, I think, is the woman trying.
But it's called Windows.
It's called Windows.
Yes, that's the one.
Why can't I think of her name?
I don't know. But
Talia Shire.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, the sound. I felt like. Again, what do I know about people with these sort of mental issues? Except that sitting watching the film, I really felt like I was witnessing someone and sort of like their preoccupation with like the details that are distracting them from living their life.
Yeah.
Like she can't get on with the business of living her life because she's just like preoccupied with nothing. And the film does a good job of basically presenting like this nothingness, like it's cracking sounds and chittering and random musical notes and water dripping.
And she's basically a blank slate for all we know, really.
And I think that, and yeah, like we don't know much about her at all. And her, yeah.
There's the one scene that's kind of creepy where it's the only scene where she's laughing, where her coworker's trying to tell her to go see
that Charlie Chaplin movie.
film.
That was uncomfortable because
Yeah.
it's like she's almost mimicking. She's like an alien trying to mimic a human. Like, oh, you're laughing, I'm gonna laugh too.
Yeah, it's really bad.
And then the friend goes to check her purse, and like the rabbit's head is. She had cut off that
part of
because her sister's boyfriend had brought her like fresh rabbit to cook, but then the sister didn't cook it because the boyfriend came early. So now they have this dead rabbit in the refrigerator, and Carol takes it out. And of course it becomes like infested with maggots and flies. But at a point, Carol cuts off the head and she just has it in her purse.
Yeah. And there's also these potatoes we see, which potatoes go bad very fast once they start going.
I guess it's been a long time since I've seen a rotten potato because I didn't realize they go bad so fast.
Oh no, like I make sweet potatoes all the time, as you know, and if some of them I buy, and if I haven't made them in 2 days, they start to rot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's insane. I love how it's shot by Gilbert Taylor, who was the cinematographer on The Omen. I think Polanski, has made comments about how he doesn't think Repulsion is one of his best works, and he was trying to make a hit because this is after his early success with Knife in the Water, and he wanted them to collect funding because the producers of this film previously made pornography.
Oh.
Also notable, Deneuve learned English. She didn't speak English before this film.
Oh, good for her.
And it's so weird watching her now years later, kind of stumbling around in a daze. She looks like, because now I've seen her daughter, Chiara Mastroianni, in many films, and her daughter really does kind of look like her a lot when she was younger as well.
I thought the production, there's some handheld camera work, I'm assuming, like when she's walking through the streets of London, that is a little shaky, but I think it's well done. Especially like the imagery of like the walls cracking.
The walls cracking.
And there's a moment when she's touching the walls and it feels like it looks like her hand is melting into the wall.
Yeah, I like that a lot. There's also hands coming out and groping her, which is very like Cocteau's Beauty and the Beast.
Yes. So I thought that all was very well done. But overall,
and this is considered the first of his apartment themed trilogy, because you have he did Cul-de-sac after this which is not part of the trilogy, with Deneuve's sister Françoise d'Orléac, who died terribly in a car accident just a couple years, like 68 I think, or 67. And then he did Rosemary's Baby, and then of course The Tenant, which you need to see.
I haven't seen The Tenant.
No, The Tenant is great too, but probably the least well known of these three. Because this is very well revered. There's a lot of comparisons.
Is The Tenant a horror film?
Yeah, and Isabella Gianni's in it. And I think Polanski...
What year is that?
Like 75. Or somewhere around there. The opening credits where Polanski's name slices across Deneuve's eyeball is... Some have said that it's a reference to Buñuel's Un Chien, The Andalusian Dog, with the famous slicing of the eyeball open. And of course, Deneuve only 2 years later would be in Belle de Jour, one of her signature roles, directed by Buñuel. You know what? Because we just had watched the Banshees of Inisherin, about two siblings in isolation and kind of going mad. I thought of that film since we just watched it so recently.
I think this film feels very unique. What's the movie with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson?
Oh, the
Lighthouse?
The Lighthouse, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Repulsion, like watching it for the first time, it felt fresh. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like it just made me think how easily an individual, I feel like we're all just like walking on thin ice. It doesn't take much, especially if you have a genetic predisposition or your biochemistry, like many of us are just hanging on by a thread. And when things go south, there isn't a lot of support. Like, unless you have friends and family who can only do so much. Like, yes, she has a sister, but that sister has to live her life. It's just scary. Like, that in itself is scary to watch this person devolve, and there really is no turning back. And yeah, that character of Carol, even if she hadn't have killed those two men, she wasn't going to be okay.
No.
Like, she was not going to be okay.
The scene where she slices up the landlord, I think, is effectively shot as well. Because I think... And there's one scene where where Deneuve is walking down the street, and she has this tick that she's starting to touch her face. And she does something with her eyes that just for the briefest seconds, like, oh my God. She's out of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's a favorite. As I said, like, it's a favorite from my youth. But I remember, the first time watching Repulsion is something for sure.
I would say if a person hasn't seen it, you need to be like, ready.
Yeah.
Like, don't watch it if you're a little tired. You need to be in the mood.
We started it too late, yes.
Yeah, it was a very long day yesterday, but I did enjoy it. I would give it like 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I think it's considered a masterpiece, and yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so this is a busy week because I'm leaving for a cruise on Friday. We are going to... we'll record a podcast on Thursday evening for next week. I don't know what that'll be about. I'm sure we'll watch a movie.
Yeah, there's a lot to...
Maybe I'll choose something fun.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah, there's a lot to get through still for this week. We have the new Julia Roberts, George Clooney.
I'm only watching it because I feel like I haven't watched something like that in so long.
And I feel
like it's going to take me back to like...
I feel like we're going to... 1995. I feel like we're going to be okay with that, though.
I don't have negative... I know you don't care for Julia Roberts. I don't really have a thought about her. And then George Clooney seems like a cool dude. I mean...
Yeah, he's fine. The fact that Julia Roberts won an Oscar for Erin Brockovich over Ellen Burstyn in Requiem for a Dream is embarrassing, I think. But
wow. So we need to watch that. We're going to watch Black Adam.
Black Adam.
And what else are we watching?
Oh, God, I don't know. There are a few other things. I'm excited to see The Stranger with Joel Edgerton. Because also, it doesn't help that Netflix is releasing 3 things midweek this week. The Good Nurse, which I think I have to see next week.
Oh, speaking of that, one of the Sorry to This Man things we forgot is we reviewed The School for Good and Evil.
Oh, yeah,
which comes out on Wednesday. So before the next... Oh, well, actually, this podcast is going to come out before the video. So really, this would be
the video comes out Wednesday.
Right, but this podcast is coming out before.
Right.
So really, this would be a Sorry to This Man for next week. But we forgot to mention in the video that the main character, Aggie, we didn't mention that, like, our cat's name is Aggie. Is that why you wrote that down?
Yeah, Aggie's our cat. But also, strangely, Aggie has a Sphinx cat in the film.
Oh, and then Aggie actually has a Sphinx cat. Yes. So I feel stupid that we didn't think to mention that in the review video.
Yeah, well, there were too many things to complain about.
I did not like that movie. What a waste. Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay, bye.
Bye.